Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Worldwide Soccer Podcast. My name is Simon Allen. I am the Dalai Lama of Soccer. Folks, wow, have I been sick. Been sick. Whew. This flu has been killing me, but I am back. And, so if you listen to the last show, you'll know that, I was really just coughing up and just doing all sorts of stuff. But a little bit better now. Thanks for all the emails, essentially sending me their everyone's, sending me their well wishes. Fantastic. Let's talk about Liverpool. Let's talk about the Champions League match. Let's talk about Manchester City absolutely bottling it. The arrogance of Pep Guardiola, who's, I want to quote him before I even begin. He after the match, he said, "We show up from the beginning with personality. One mistake, they score a goal. They continue to play and score two more. It's tough. They had 10 to 15 minutes in the first half where they were better. In the second half, we tried to score goals. We needed, but nothing. We lost. It's not just the first goal, it's the second chance they arrive and score the second. And here in the stadium, in the Champions League, our team is so young. The rest of the game, we were so good. We knew we had to score goals. We concede. It's what it is. We have to accept it now in 2 days to have United at home. Then 2 days later, we have Liverpool at home. We'll see what happens. It's so difficult, but now we are loosed. Nobody believes we can achieve the semi-final, but we will try. Pure arrogance on Pep Guardiola's part. Pure arrogance on a lot of pundits' part, in my opinion. Manchester City have essentially given up 7 goals against Liverpool this season. I mean, that going into this particular match, if any pundit out there, and you could have actually seen some of these pundits on TV, absolutely taking a giant shit after the game, having to re-explain themselves on why they are changing their minds. Because at the beginning of the match, they were like, of course Manchester City is going to win. But a little bit of research pretty much shows you. If you go to the Bundesliga, the only manager to really get Pep Guardiola's goat, time after time, was and still is Jurgen Klopp. The idea that putting a horrible Turkish player, for Sterling. Pure arrogance, pure ridiculous arrogance on that one. Why in God's name would you essentially mess up your formation and put in a bunch of guys that really weren't, performing to begin with? You look at the starting lineup for Liverpool, it was really easy. He's Karius in the back, Alexander-Arnold, who's only 19 years old, Lovren and Van Dijk and Robertson, and then these are the guys that I think, the 3 guys in the middle that really absolutely smothered Manchester City. I'm talking about Milner, Henderson, Oxlade-Chamberlain. Let's really be honest here. If some nitwit out there is saying, well, look at them, they parked the bus, they don't quite understand football, and I don't care who the hell they are. They had 4 guys in the back, no problem there. We know what Van Dijk can do. We know what Lovren can and cannot do. But when it came to essentially compressing the ball, compressing and actually smothering Manchester City's attack, it was done via the midfield. It was like an accordion going back. And by the time, the Manchester City, anyone who was really attacking, whoever it was attacking, there was no chance because the midfield had gone over there, essentially stopped any of the channels that go by. And if there was a pass, literally the defense had it. To put Gundogan in rather than Sterling, to put Stones in rather than anyone at the back, Otamendi, Kompany, Kyle Walker, Laporte, how horrible. I mean, Nicolas Otamendi was awful in this match. Laporte was a tragic figure at left back. 49.6% of Liverpool's attack went through the left. And really, Pep Guardiola didn't want what was going on. Kyle Walker was essentially a liability. And the fact that both he and Laporte cost City £100 million between them was really a sad sight to see. Especially when you have players of such caliber, or supposedly of such caliber on the Manchester City side, This, like I said, this season, Liverpool have scored 7 goals against Manchester City. 3 goals. Manchester City has only let in 3 goals. West Bromwich Albion, Napoli, and Bristol City. They've beaten teams and essentially have let them score 1 goal against them. So teams like Spurs, Arsenal, and United have only got to score 1 goal. To change up a lineup, to change it up against a team that can absolutely score goals against the manager was pure arrogance on Pep Guardiola's part. The idea that City had 7 off-target shots and 0 shots on goal, and Liverpool had 4 shots on target, 4 shots off target, and 3 of them went in. It comes down to... Now, again, I'm not taking anything away from Liverpool. Liverpool is a destructive machine with the front three. Okay, you can't take anything away from Mane, Mo Salah, and Firmino. Okay, nothing. But the idea that someone like Laporte's gonna go ahead and defend against him. Kyle Walker, who by the way his best days are probably with England. I'm not sure what's going on with City. You can email me on that one. De Bruyne was taken out of the game. If you remember the show, if you remember actually. Bangers a match. Was it De Bruyne? Do you want De Bruyne or do you want Salah? It was done. De Bruyne was essentially taken out of the match, just not by literally everyone on the pitch. There was no way that Lovren was going to make a mistake because, quite honestly, the back four, the middle three were doing such a good job in smothering anything that was going on. Silva was out of the picture, and quite honestly, you want to see the best players on the pitch. There was no Sterling, there was no Delph, there was no Stones. I mean, Stones had a great match had a great time with the England lineup. Why is he not in this particular lineup? Pure arrogance on their part. You got to understand that to me, this game was something that I literally was one of the only people in the world saying Liverpool are going to destroy them. Here are the facts, and the two biggest facts. Klopp has got this guy's go every time in the Bundesliga. They're scoring at will here. There were opportunities to where you see City passing the ball laterally, and you sort of see the middle three Liverpool players completely smothering it to the point where they can't really do anything with it. Liverpool's goal was I think 4 passes, so it was really just a matter of just like, why are we wasting time even trying to play this tiki-taka bull nonsense? It was 4 passes, and Mo Salah scored in the 12th minute. I think it was like a long sort of cross from forget who it was, and then to Mo Salah. Mo Salah got it to Firmino. A little bit of a dribble inside the box, and that you've seen this game. It was intense, and you can't essentially give Mo Salah an inch of space. Space. That's what I was going with, and suddenly it's like, wait a second, is he gonna miss from 12 yards? Why are you giving me any chance to? So defensively awful, pure arrogance by Manchester City, pure arrogance by any of the pundits out there, especially the ones that were on live TV across the world saying, well, it's Manchester City. They didn't do their homework. It was fun to watch them squirm at the end of the game saying, well, they just couldn't do it. And quite honestly, it was literally a great time to be a Liverpool fan. And I'm a Liverpool fan, and I try to be very, very objective. Today, I'm trying to essentially show what was literally going on, and it was pure mistakes by Pep Guardiola, who, by the way, when he brought in Sergio Aguero, to the Premiership, these same sort of arrogant pundits were saying, oh yeah, he's going to score 50 goals. Not quite the same. There's always going to be a bogey team, and Liverpool is Manchester City's bogey team at this point. The idea that the idea that you want to give Liverpool player any space. The Oxlade-Chamberlain goal was essentially, again, arrogance on the pitch by Manchester City. Why are you not stepping forward to this guy? Do you not know that this is a big game for Liverpool? This is and it comes down to, experience, and I mean that with all sincerity here. Liverpool are a team that have Champions League running through their blood. They have pedigree. Manchester City are not. These players don't have it. Regardless of where they came from, when they pull on that light blue shirt, there's no pedigree there. There's nothing there to say this is so important. And you've heard these stories about how, European nights at Anfield, all these sort of legendary sort of feelings and moments at Anfield. Well, there you have it. This match proved that it does exist. Now I'm not going to say anything about the second leg because I want to go ahead and talk about that on Bangers a Match this week. So when you go to the FoodBall Network, that's what we'll be talking about. I'm not saying that Manchester City won't come back and score 3 goals, because it's absolutely doable. That Pep Guardiola essentially is looking at himself going, man, did I just mess up? Here's what we're going to do. He's going to look at and the second leg is, could happen. Will they score 4 goals? Again, I'll have to see what's going on, what kind of a formation he puts in there. The ridiculous formation that he put in that he had to change at half-time does not make any sense. So whether he's the most overrated manager in history, which I don't think he is, or he's just an arrogant bastard who thought, well, we're gonna go ahead and walk through Liverpool. With that said, on the flip side, the talisman that is Ronaldo, that is Cristiano Ronaldo, was fully on display here, and it's almost like a broken record when at this point in time when we're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, an absolute. I mean, that bicycle kick, when I saw it, I just went crazy when I saw it. I mean, I literally I waited for the replay and watched the game all over again. If you look at the photograph of Pele doing a bicycle kick and Ronaldo doing a bicycle kick, I just went, that's sort of came into my mind when it happened in real time. And on top of that, the Marcelo easy goal at the end just sort of goes to show that these two guys are going to be pivotal for their teams, right? We're talking about all these players at Brazil, for example, the Neymars of the world, and also it's going to be Marcelo that's going to be the pivotal guy. He's going to be the talisman guy at the World Cup. And Ronaldo, if he's playing like this, we know that he's a talisman. He defines the word. He's the quintessential talisman. So this match was there, and it proved to the world that he's good. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from the sort of the Messi Ronaldo conversation. What I've come to the conclusion really is whenever someone talks about Messi and Ronaldo is that we're really lucky enough to be born and living at a time where the two of the greatest players in history are battling each other really to see who's the greatest. And what it's going to come down to is I think a typical soccer moment that Americans hate. It's going to be a draw. It's going to be a 1-1 draw. It's going to be, we're going to sit back maybe a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, and people are going to say, you know what? There is no best. We are just blessed to see two of the best. And we have to face that. With that said, why don't you email me at simonallensoccer@yahoo.com, simonallensoccer@yahoo.com, and tell me what you think. Look out for the show, the Bangers and Match show, where we'll be talking about the second leg. And we're going to be in Burbank at Gitano's on Saturday at about 3-ish. So if you're hearing this on the 5th or the 6th and you're in that area, stop on by, okay? Let's take the World Soccer Rap jet to the pub, shall we? That was the most pointless sound effect ever. Let's just... it's just ridiculous. But okay, we have them, so why don't we just use them, okay? Great, okay. Simon Allen at the pub over here with the two lads to my right. FoodBall Harry, cheers. In front of me, Alexi.
Hello, hello, hello.
All right, so this is, we're here at the pub again. Are you guys enjoying yourselves at the pub?
I'm having a nice fat bacon cheeseburger.
You having a fat bacon?
With crispy cut fries.
Really?
I'm loving
What color
it.
are those fries? Alexi, what are you eating over there?
Well, you know what, lads, I'm on a bit of a diet, so I'm...
What?
I am.
Who are you?
I'm just on a beer diet.
Oh,
no food.
I thought you were on a seafood diet, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, obviously, big week. Thursday, on the Worldwide Soccer Podcast, me and Phil are talking about how awesome Zlatan Ibrahimovic is, right? Well, the entire world is saying, like, he's too old, he's this, he's that. Then, on Bangers and Match, what were you talking about? We're talking about how awesome Zlatan is. We're the only guys in probably around America talking about how awesome he is. And then suddenly, oh my God, here's the waiter. Thank you very much. Awesome.
Oh, one more.
Yeah. All right.
It's okay, my friend.
How you doing?
Good, you?
I'm all right. You come at the best time. Can I have some water as well?
Yeah, yes.
I can always start this again.
No, it's good. It's good. We're all
Are
good.
you?
Thank you
I
very
don't
much.
want any, thank you.
Okay. And that's this one.
Yeah, all right.
Simon, what's that you got there, mate?
This, my friend.
No, you're coughing, right? What's
Oh.
that? You're ill or something?
Listen, I have Zlatan fever.
Oh my God.
Is what I have right now.
Is it catchable?
I'm thinking it is contagious because the entire world is now talking about Zlatan.
It's a virus
I am
going
right
around.
now actually having what's called a Guinness shake. Okay? So which is a Guinness and ice cream. And it's not catching though, but it should be. So you and us three, like the folks at Worldwide Soccer and obviously Bangers a Match, we were probably one of the only guys saying how awesome it is to have a player like this. And then everyone else was saying how crap it is because it's not what we're about here in America, about old players. But
But let me just jump in. What do I keep telling you, Simon?
You keep saying there are no old players
there
or
are
young
no old
players, only
players.
good players and crap players.
100%,
Right.
and that's exactly what it comes. You could be 90 years old. Can you still do something? Can you be productive?
Let me tell you, when I'm 90, I'll be doing it all right. Okay,
Okay.
so, but we
I
saw
hope.
we saw the match, right?
Definitely, it was.
I'm gonna tell you, I've been watching MLS from day one. One match that stands out was when David Beckham took the LA Galaxy to Red Bull in New York. And they were down like 3-0 or something like that, or 4-0, and they scored 5 goals. You know, it was going crazy.
Crazy.
I remember that game.
I don't think I even remember it that well. It could have been like 6-0, whatever it was. This beats it by a mile. All right. So first of all, we'll go around the table. What do you think, Harry?
I said beast mode.
You said beast mode while you're watching it.
Beast mode.
Yeah.
And he came in, and it was pure entertainment. It was perfect for Hollywood. It couldn't have been a better story. Hollywood entertainment, and that's exactly what he delivered.
Yeah.
I don't think he played. I think he's a little bit rusty still.
Yeah.
But look,
It was 20 minutes of pure heaven for me, by the way. Alexi.
You know what? Scored an amazing goal, long range shot. He even said he was too tired to run, but it just goes to show his skill. And what did I say on the Bangers and Match show? I said they're not going to be able to stop his headers. And boom, he scored a header. There was 4 guys around him.
Yeah.
What a cross by Cole. I mean, that
100%.
guy is a quality player.
Yeah.
And he was the guy who was revving up his team. It wasn't really what I saw when he was at Chelsea.
No.
But here at LA Galaxy, he's like the focal point.
Let me tell you, it wouldn't surprise you for me to tell you that when he first came to LA, nobody wanted him. They're like, he's here on vacation. This sounds familiar, right? He's too old and whatever. Last season, he was the best left back in the league. Last season, he was the best player on the LA Galaxy. And then he literally gets the assist to win. There we go, to win the game. Oh, well done. Look at that. So you're getting a Guinness float as well.
Yeah,
huh?
Guinness float as well.
All
so.
right, you got it. So when he came, people didn't like him, and then he pretty much told people on the pitch, you know, with his experience, with his play, screw you. I'm still the best left back in the league. And we saw like what 2 fantastic players, regardless of age, right?
The guy
Can do.
played for Arsenal when
Yeah.
they were winning things. He went to Chelsea when they were winning things. I mean, the guy's a winner.
Right. And we saw who the 2 good players were on the Galaxy, right? I mean, it wasn't Daniel Steris. It literally was these 2 old guys, you know, which is great. So
he led the force.
yeah.
That's what he did.
So this was a spectacular win, but on the flip side, thanks very much, mate. On the flip side, it was a spectacular loss for LAFC, don't you think? I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I haven't talked about this with anyone other than, well, I'm gonna bring it up now. If you're Bob Bradley, the coach, and you're up 3-0, don't you make some sort of an adjustment to essentially keep the lead? Like, no one's talked about this. I haven't read anything online about this or any. Like,
Well, you know,
go ahead, Alex.
Well, I mean, that happens in football all the time. I saw it again today. You know, it's everything you think is going to go well for you is going to continue to go well for you. Stocks don't always keep going up. They also have a tendency to go down. You have to lock out the opposition. It's called a different type of game.
Yeah.
Training. So you're 3-0 up. Make sure they don't score a
They
goal.
don't penetrate. They don't score a goal. They don't penetrate.
It's
right?
training.
Right. So what? Like, again, and I'm not taking anything away from Bob Bradley. Bob Bradley, you know, is the guy that gave Mo Salah his first cap. I'm not going to give him credit for creating Mo Salah. I'm going to give him credit for essentially putting him on the Egypt team, right? So listen, why didn't Bob Bradley put in 2 defenders, park the bus? Why? Go ahead.
I don't think it was going to make a difference.
You don't think having 10 defenders?
It was meant for Ibra to come in the last 20 minutes. When Ibra was being brought in the last 20 minutes, I was like, why isn't he in the last 30 minutes? Right?
Yeah.
But I give it to the coach. He knew what to do. Gaffer did a good job.
Well, listen, the crowd was chanting, "We want Zlatan."
Sure.
You know, I think that had something to do with it. To me, if you're losing 3-0, right, and then Pontius scores a goal, it's 3-1.
You got nothing to lose.
You got nothing to, but then to me, it's like, you guy's tired. We're not probably going to win. Let's just let him rest, you know? He could have just come out and waved, and people would have been happy.
Look,
but
it was the psyche of the players, the defenders of LAFC. It got into the psyche, the crowd, Ibra coming in, the whole hype, first game match,
Yeah,
possible
their
comeback.
first ever game.
Yeah.
Not just their first game of the
the
season.
first game in LA.
Yeah.
The first ever game against, I mean,
Possible comeback. When that's in your head,
yeah.
that's
It's
what
called mental willpower. Some players have it,
And-
some players don't. What was Mourinho talking about his team?
Yeah.
Some players are always going to have it. When the chips are down, they're going to battle through it. Other players, they just fold.
and that's what
Let
happened.
me ask you this. Because, Harry, you played, I heard.
Yeah.
The guitar
Yeah.
or the piano.
You
Ukulele.
can
The kazoo.
the cello.
Cello. I play the ukulele, and there's no shame against it. This is a spectacular loss for LAFC.
Big,
Okay.
100%.
I mean, it's a spectacular win, Alexi. Spectacular loss for LAFC, I should know. Spectacular. I mean, the word spectacular, I'm going to say a million times. Now, it's been a couple of days since the loss.
Sure.
The players are in training. Is this now the springboard down for them?
For
Do they
LAFC?
Are they now, like, what, are they so destroyed by this match that it's over?
No, I mean, if you're asking me as a player, absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's again the coach's job and the staff for them to flip it around and make this an experience.
Well, you say that, but Bradley, you know, how many games did he play for Swansea? Like 3?
Yeah.
Before he got the sack? Look,
That won't happen here.
No, it won't. But listen, I respect MLS. I respect him. He's a winner. He's done a lot of things. But you know, you've got mentally. It's a mental game. It's not just a skill game. It's a mental game. Golf like that as well. They tell you it's not just about the action. It's a mental
Alexi,
game.
I think this is a really big loss.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
This is a mind effing loss. You know what I'm talking about? When you just get so mind effed that it's like, how did we lose this? How do
you take it as a mind F?
I think you cannot help but do that.
No, but this is what, again, it goes back to
By the way, this is a
coaching
podcast. We can
staff.
actually say what we want to say, but we're just doing it because we have a great audience, and it's.
Again, it goes back to your coaching staff to basically get the players together.
Simon, you're right, mate.
No, see, I have Zlatan fever, and it includes lots of coughing.
I know.
Listen, I'm gonna end this segment with this. Oh, this particular subject. Oh, we got more. Oh, nice. How many Guinness floats can we have in one day? We shall see. No, I'm good. Thank you. I think it's gonna be very difficult. I know these are professionals. I know these are top of the game guys. Carlos Vela's not a thing. Not a joke of a player. He's a great player.
Yeah.
But it has to. I think it really has to. I mean, it has to F with your mind. And I'm sort of predicting that the next game, if they don't win, you'll see the signs of them being mind effed.
Look, as Harry said it. If the coach can't pick him up, he's going to see the first sacking of the season.
Well, okay, all right. I think you've got a job for life there, though, Alexi. I mean, it's not. I mean,
Look, it's all preparedness. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. As a
Yeah,
player,
that's it.
let's do this. We'll wait.
and other than the coaches, sorry to cut you off, but it's also the leaders of that team.
Yeah.
The veterans like Vela.
No, there's no doubt. This is a solid team, and there's guys on this team that I really think they're great players, but this has got to do some psychological damage.
I mean,
So
it hurts.
let's sort of segue into coaches, right? I want to talk about a coach that's getting a lot of press for not really doing as well as he should be, and that is, that's a guy that last year I really liked. This year, people are talking about him getting the sack, which he might, and that is Chelsea's Antonio Conte.
I finished.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So Antonio Conte's been getting a lot of stick about, him being not a great manager this year because of whatever. We'll talk about that. and he might be getting the sack, much like Alexi saying Bob Bradley might, but I don't think so, Alexi. So we'll have to see what happens to that.
It was in jest.
Yeah, no, it was I know, but let's talk about Conte for a second.
Well, let me jump in. I mean, look.
Okay, that's what I was waiting for someone to do.
Well, you know, because he played Tottenham the other day, and everyone
Yeah.
knows. I mean, Tottenham to beat Chelsea at their ground after 28 years.
Yeah,
in
big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that
Even Conte's Chelsea?
Conte's Chelsea wasn't that bad.
No, last year. This year they've been awful.
No, I wouldn't say that their players are the same players. I wouldn't say they're awful.
Yeah,
What I would say is,
you're right about that, though. The players are the same.
more or less,
Yeah.
the one thing is, I keep telling you, it's the small things in football, the small things. You drop the head at the wrong minute, you know, bit of luck goes against you, and next thing you know, you're down, and when you are up. I mean, that's why.
Okay.
Well, I don't know the answer to this question.
Yeah.
But what's the longest tenure any coach in the last 10 to 12 years at Chelsea been?
Can't be that much. I mean, off the top of my head, it can't be
years?
2-3 years. I mean, Avram Grant had maybe 2 years.
Yeah, but the
Nick
real
Cavalier-
issue is that people are saying that he can't buy his own players, and he's not a club man.
Right. Well, let me give you this little bit of stat here. Last year, when Chelsea were on top of everything, right? 2016-2017 season, Chelsea only lost to Liverpool, Arsenal, and Spurs, right? They couldn't beat Liverpool in the second leg because it was a tie. They lost the FA Cup to Arsenal 2-1, and they ended the season with 56 points on top. This year, on opening day, Chelsea lost to Burnley. They've lost to Bournemouth, West Ham United, Palace, and Watford. They've drawn with Leicester, Arsenal, Everton, and Liverpool. So there has been a big drop in form, to say the least, from last year to this year. Alexi said it's the same players. The only player they got rid of was Loic Remy. Loic Remy was going to be a big player.
And Matic.
Halfway through the season.
Yeah. No, I mean, they lost. Okay, great.
What about David Luiz?
Yeah.
Look, it's all about the defense. I'm a, you know, as much as I love attacking midfield, if you can't defend, forget it.
Okay.
And he played a lot of those games, and you could tell by the way he was playing, he wasn't interested.
So, wait, but going back to that then. So, looking at the results, the players were the same. I mean, they picked up the defender from Leicester last season. I thought it was very, very good. He's done very, very well for Chelsea. So, what?
Thank you, boss.
If it's not the players, if the players are the same, and the management around the manager is the same, is it necessarily the manager?
Well, no, maybe it's the tactics. Maybe he's slightly playing people in positions that they don't like.
Last year, if you remember, Conte was on the sidelines screaming, and I dubbed it like he's playing, you know, PlayStation, but in real life. He was telling this guy to do this, you know, this guy to move, this guy. He was literally playing PlayStation in real life. This year, total subdued guy. What do you think, Eric?
I think it's what Alexi mentioned a few episodes ago on Even Bangers and Match about Mourinho.
Okay.
That, you know, what's deeper to this, just the game, and I think it's Conte, it's the organization, and it's Abramovich.
Yeah.
We know Abramovich.
Yeah. So
And I think it's a lot more deeper than just the locker room. It's a lot more deeper than just the team. Like you just said,
Yeah.
the motivational factor is not there with Conte.
Yeah, I mean-
you don't see it.
You don't see him as animated on the sidelines, is what you're saying. But you know,
There's
motivation.
something wrong, and
Look, these guys are making, let's say, 100 grand a week. Okay, if they know
So
that
about
their
20 grand less than what you're making.
Oh yeah. Well, listen. Don't tell everyone my
Your weekly
earnings.
salary?
The bottom line is, if those players will get a in feel of whether this guy's sticking around or going. If they know he's going, maybe their heads are dropping a little. Totally unprofessional. I'm not saying no, but it's human nature a bit.
well, half that. I mean, look, Willian's going to be gone after the World Cup.
Yeah.
Hazard might be gone.
Yeah,
after
they
the
said
World
9
Cup.
players,
There you
first team
go.
players.
So,
9 first team
so where's
players.
the motivation there? That's what I'm saying is.
Well, you're
I think
Chelsea.
it's-
You're playing in one of the best parts of
You know,
London.
Chelsea is the
doesn't matter
is the
who-
top one of the top 10 most supported teams in the world.
Yeah, they
Sure.
won the Champions League. They got to the final. Are you kidding me?
You know,
Okay.
that's not a joke to be. You're up there support-wise with Barcelona.
But
and Real
today
Madrid.
you're Chelsea, tomorrow you're another
Crystal
club,
Palace.
mate.
Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa.
Ain't gonna happen, but
No, it's
but
not.
look, that's what I mean.
Leeds United.
That's what I mean.
But it won't happen.
There's
No, it
no more loyalty.
No, I mean I understand that, and you know I've seen I've seen pretty much every game in the Premiership this season, and the most massive
And it's
difference
unfortunate.
is the one in Chelsea's, and I'm looking at the manager. You can't say I can say there's been a slight change obviously in Liverpool, a better change in Tottenham. Manchester United has slipped down, but this has been the most dramatic change,
look,
and I
when
can't
you-
believe it's just the manager.
No, it's
I
not.
can't believe
it's the
it.
players too, mate.
Yeah, but what happened? Look, again, you guys are good. Look, John Terry left. He
Yeah.
was a stalwart for the club.
Yeah.
You know, so was the midfielder, Frank Lampard. You know, they're
Amazing
stalwarts. I
players,
mean, that's the
Yeah, but
spine of the
you
team.
can't blame it on them leaving. I mean,
Well, you can, because
No,
if
we're not doing-
the personnel that you bring in,
to replace them was not.
if they're like Asa Koto, who didn't even know what the next team he was playing, he just showed up, and you got to have players who
Yeah.
die for Chelsea.
Yeah.
will
Which they
die.
did. It was
With
Lampard,
Conte.
Yeah,
it was John
exactly.
Terry,
But those
yeah.
types of guys are they there now?
It's no, it doesn't exist anymore, man. That's what I'm trying to say. I
In
mean,
general, you're saying.
yeah, Hazard knows he's probably gone at the end of the World Cup.
Oh, he knew that 2 years ago.
Willian.
A good point. I think right now, the end question would be, we're coming to the end of the season, obviously. Chelsea are probably not going to,
Well, this could be in their top. They could meet someone in the final in the FA Cup.
the FA Cup, yeah, that's true. Is that, first of all, I don't think that's enough, obviously, to warrant Conte staying.
Yeah.
But how about this?
Sure.
As if you're Abramovich, right? Not Ibrahimovic, but Abramovich, right? Do you get rid of him 3 or 4 games before the end of the season, bring in someone new just so you can say, listen, or do you just say, just take it all the way to the end, and then what do you think, Harry?
I don't think he's that sophisticated.
You don't think Abramovich is that sophisticated?
I don't think he's.
You don't think a
more-
Russian oligarch is that sophisticated?
No, he does it more on instinct than
Okay,
anything else.
all right.
He's more of an instinctive
Alexi?
owner.
I would disagree with you with this point. Look, if you win the FA Cup in an amazing way, you smash your opposition.
It's against Southampton.
No, I'm talking about the final.
final,
It's either
okay.
going to be Man U or Tottenham, right?
Okay,
It's
yeah.
going to be Tottenham. What am I saying?
Yeah.
You know, it's how you win.
Yeah.
Abramovich has said that from day one. It's not just about winning.
Okay.
He wants to bring people like all the top players. He wants to bring them
Yeah.
to.
He wants to play FIFA in real life too.
Yeah, so you know, he wants to see his team go, wow, play great football, not just win 1-0 or 2-0.
I don't think Abramovich is an emotional person.
Yeah.
And,
I think he's a
and
robot.
If
He's
he wa-
Russian,
if,
isn't he?
if,
By the
if, he,
KGB.
if he wants Conte gone, he's gonna sack him. It
Anytime
doesn't
he
matter
wants.
when. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And then who replaces Conte?
8 million fee that he has to pay for him to F off doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
8 million is like, vodka money on a weekend,
Yeah, but-
smothered with caviar, I guess.
Yeah. There you
A
go.
little bit of beluga. With that said, we'll round it off this one with this. Oh, you want to do 2 minutes?
I love my 2
Yeah.
minutes.
Okay, you got 1 minute.
I got 1
Okay, you
minute.
got 30 seconds. Let's go.
I'm gonna plug in Football Show Street Edition.
Okay, I can plug that in for you.
Where we just starting.
Okay, thank you. I can plug that in at the end of the show. I appreciate it. Alexi.
All of a sudden, I don't like Pep Guardiola. I did not think Liverpool would beat Man City 3-0. The arrogance of him going to Anfield and thinking he could come out with a result. You know, if he went there with 500 people behind in front of the goal, you'd say fair enough. You can take to Man City, but Liverpool smashed them. I mean, their front three, on their day, will score goals against anyone.
All right, so, listen, now Harry wants a rebuttal.
I just want to say that in all my years, sensational goal, Cristiano Ronaldo, but in all my years of watching, playing, everything, I've never seen fans basically
Of the opposition
appreciate,
of the opposition
opposing
yeah.
team, appreciate, especially Juve fans.
All right, so I'll bring you some videotape of Elephant and Castle, all right? With that said, guys, enjoy your...
Cheers.
Enjoy your...
Nice one, lads. Chin chin.
Here we go. Salud. All right, folks, back at the studio again because such is life. Did you guys and gals check me out on Kevin Kincaid show? If you haven't, I need you obviously to go to the Kevin Kincaid website, and he is going to be found at his episode is episode 45, Meditations with the Dalai Lama, and it's on SoundCloud, and he's got a great show, and you got to go to it. Oh, here it is in the background. It's always soccer in Philadelphia is what the name of the show. You got to go over that. He's a speed metal guy, but he's the best in the business. So whenever he calls, I go. And it's me at my best, to be honest with you. Whenever I talk to an Emmy award-winning sports guy, I think I step my game up, and a lot of people have listened so far and said, this is the kind of guy we like, Simon. And I'm like, I know, but it's difficult to talk to myself and do a great show. I've been doing it for 15 or 14 years, but occasionally, it's good. Get to see the professional, proper punditry side sometimes, the proper guy with the suit and tie kind of thing. With that said, I'm going to take off the tie because I'm going to talk about Zlatan again. Because let me be honest with you. If you are a 2-bit hack bloggist, you're in America talking about soccer, and there's plenty of them out there, to be honest with you. You have something to write about for the next 2 years. And if it's not about, you don't have to be very good at football. You can just write about Zlatan. And that's one of the upsides of Zlatan coming here to the United States. And as soon as I say that, I'm going to read an article from what I perceive to be a bloggist of some kind that probably doesn't know much about football, probably got to watching soccer in America when David Beckham showed up, and someone gave him a blog or something. And the article is written, Zlatan's move to MLS shows what's wrong with American soccer fans. So, granted, this is going to get a lot. Listen, whenever you write about, from now on, whenever you write about Zlatan, and I gave up writing, to be honest with you, because it's all about clicks, not about when I wrote articles, I wrote 10-page articles. One of the most articles I'm most proud of, I should say, was an article I wrote about indoor soccer that got no freaking coverage whatsoever. To the point I was like, I don't need this bullshizzle from anyone. I just write my own stuff and put it on my own site. But it was an article, and I sort of tried to harken back to the days of, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas kind of thing, where, me going into a desert and watching indoor soccer. And what I realized after that, and after, articles where it was 10, 15 pages long, really good articles, that American soccer fans pretty much, or at least not the fans, but the folks who are running the blogs and the websites, just want clicks. They don't want you to sit down and read an article and be informed or it be insightful or entertaining. It's just getting a raw emotion, a boo or a yay or an up yours or an F you or something like that. So I stopped writing, and then all of a sudden, we've seen this world turn into just a nonsense, people with absolutely zero credibility writing about soccer. And this article, I'm not going to even give the name of the guy, but it sort of shows you where it's at right now. I'm not even going to give you the articles where it's housed, but it says Zlatan's move to MLS shows what's wrong with American soccer fans. Rule number one, why are you commenting on soccer fans? Dare I say, that could be the lowest hanging of fruit, to essentially say, you soccer fans are in trouble, blah, 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 talk down to them. Or, what's wrong with you fans? Doesn't even make any sense, You could have a career just blagging off soccer fans, Maybe, turn towards the crap writers that are out there that are making a lot of money and ruining the name of good soccer journalism. And by the way, I'm not alone when I think that. So it goes, with 2 touches of the ball on Saturday, Zlatan Ibrahimovic made the biggest headlines of the MLS season so far this year, helping the Los Angeles Galaxy take down new crosstown rival Los Angeles Football Club 4-3. This news only ranks slightly above the announcement of the Swedish striker leaving Manchester United to join the Galaxy, which holds a record of 5 MLS Cup victories. The rich get richer, and Ibrahimovic's move to American soil has has some people talking that soccer is finally going to catch on in the States. Talk. Whenever you read someone write that, it's finally going to, even in quotes to ingest, he's a bit of a cynical bastard. Ibrahimovic's move to Los Angeles was only outdone by the way he was announced. Taking out a full-page ad in Los Angeles Times, he simply wrote, "Dear Los Angeles, you're welcome." Is this news to anyone out there, by the way? Leaving the whole page blank except for his signature at the bottom. The proclamation was as bold as the player who made it, and the news was big for soccer in America, which may feel still needs validation, although MLS has passed France's Ligue 1 and Italy's Serie A in attendance numbers. But it's also predictable. This isn't the first big-name player to join the Galaxy, or MLS for that matter. There's been David Beckham. Again, is this guy telling you something you don't know? Robbie Keane, Steven Gerrard, Landon Donovan, the list goes on. Well, go ahead, name them then. Give me more than the top 5. All right, there you have it. He likely won't be the last either. Well, he got something right. But the fascination about Ibrahimovic, who's currently 36 years old, and there's that little snidey remark that, that crappy journalists make, the little snide little dig, which, by the way, I don't mind having a snide remark in there if you can back it up with some sort of a substance. But he goes off. Who's currently 36 years old and coming off a knee injury, isn't a new concept for American soccer fans or those who are trying to convert to the sport. Maybe the formula of selling us fleeting football legends is ingrained in the American soccer fans' DNA. In 1975, the New York Cosmos, again, such hack writing, got to go back to 75, okay, signed Pelé, arguably the greatest footballer to ever live, and it gave birth to the country's ever-growing fascination with soccer. It also laid a blueprint for how football clubs could sell tickets, bring in huge stars who are no longer looking to compete at the highest levels in Europe. What a crappy, shitty thing to write, and completely wrong. Those guys came to America in 1970s to compete. They weren't over the hill. Canalia wasn't over the hill. He just wasn't wanted in Italy. Georgie Best was not over the hill. He was quite young. He was just battling his own demons and absolutely schooled. Just type in George Best San Jose Earthquakes and see what comes up. You'll be amazed. There were guys in the old NASL that did not treat this at all like a retirement league or something where they did not want to compete. There was more competition here in the 70s than there was ever going to be at any time in anywhere else in the world. It just happened to be the stars. And snidey little writers will write, well, they were just here on holiday to eat steak and eggs. In fact, there were bullshizzle players that came over here and did that and then just pissed off after, a season because they knew they couldn't even handle it. It wasn't the retirement league. But he goes, but it's also predictable, is what he said. It's not really predictable. Soccer is predictable if you're a soccer pundit, not a two-bit hack writer. And I'm not saying this guy is or isn't. I'm just saying that in general, what it is. Maybe this formula of selling us fleeting soccer legends, blah, blah, blah. There's been a long-held belief that MLS is a retirement league for international superstars. Once the stars of the Premier League, La Liga, and Serie A have reaped the glories of the Champions League and domestic titles, they move to Los Angeles. Which ones? Oh, a couple of new names. New York or even Chicago, and live the life of a semi-retired footballer while still adding zeros to the bank account. Really? 1.5 million, not quite the zeros that Zlatan Ibrahim is doing, by the way. $1.5 million, that's far less, far less, and you can easily look that up, than Dozy Altidore and Michael Bradley, far less than Carlos Vela, and far less than the 3 other DPs, by the way, at the LA Galaxy. So this kind of bullshizzle, nonsense, lazy, sloppy journalism, you just have to call it out. There's an ideology that the way to build a successful league is to have the biggest and best players. Absolutely. You're right there. But there's those people who don't appear overnight or just come with the signing of a contract. Good football comes from nations that invest in the sport, train their youth, and don't have some ridiculous pay-to-play scheme that only allows for rich kids to dedicate their time and thrive in the sport. Oh, wow. I'm surprised they didn't add promotion relegation, by the way. That's how tacky I think that's what it is. Want good football? Invest in America's youth. Really? And build a league around them. Look what happened to the U.S. men's national team. Completely, not connected, by the way, to Major League Soccer, in its attempt to qualify for the World Cup, rolling an aging team onto the pitch to lose to Trinidad and Tobago. Not really connected. If you were actually a football guy, and I don't think this writer is, he would know that, you can bring on the youth, but no one watches youth. No one cares about youth until they become superstars. And youth doesn't win World Cups. And youth, you can ask Arsene Wenger, doesn't win, FA Cups and Premier League, titles. So this whole notion that the lazy, sloppy notion that, yes, you can build a league around young American players. I'm not going to even say it's bullshit. It's total bullshit. Foster Langsdorff is a great player, and he's 19, 20, 21 years old. I think he's 22, right? He's not getting a start in Major League Soccer because, quite honestly, you know what? He's not going to sell tickets. Only guys like me and Phil Mitchell, and maybe you out there, know about him, and you know that he might be the future. But quite honestly, no one's going to go out there to watch him really in mass, all right? And he's certainly not going to win MLS Cup. You know who won MLS Cup for Seattle? It was the likes of Clint Dempsey. It was the old guys who didn't make it to the World Cup. It was the old Panamanian guy in the back, and the German guy in goal. And the guy who won MLS Cup for the LA Galaxy was the old American guy, and the old Irish guy, and the old English guy that no one really liked, but everyone kissed his ass because he saved American soccer. And now they're like, oh well, it's not David Beckham. Sloppy journalism at its best, crappy sort of snidey remarks about players that are just here to essentially make American soccer brilliant, and it's the same old shit that you've been hearing. Bring on the young Americans. How well did the young Americans do in the 70s, by the way, when the NASL was around? Tell me how many World Cups did the U.S. compete in while NASL was at its prime? And you might say, well, that's the reason why they didn't do well. Yeah, they were playing, though. They were playing and losing 10-1 to Poland. But, the best defenders were American. The goalies were American. The future of American soccer was a bright-eyed guy who didn't go to college and went to the Cosmos. How well did they do? You're blaming crap players not making it to the World Cup on superstars that come and actually bust their balls in America to play for teams? It's not related. It's not related whatsoever. So to say, oh, look at this, we didn't do well because we have aging footballers, is pure bullshizzle. It's also been said that the MLS is inferior to other leagues in the world, that thinking goes Americans don't know good soccer because the product available in the States is so poor compared to the rest of the world. If only we could witness the beautiful game, we'd understand what supporting football was all about. A little bit of self-hatred right there. Always good to butter up the reader. This is the same thing you'll hear from the Euro snob who lives in Brooklyn and goes to Legends at 8 a.m. Good for you. Yeah, good. Go for the Euro snob on Saturday to watch Arsenal. That's always been his club. Although he's not English, has been to London once on a high school field trip. And he's only stepped foot in MLS Stadium to watch an international friendly between Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Oh, all the time he went just to see Thierry on replay. Really? You're slagging off that guy? All right. The only match they watched that was played in the U.S. last year was the Clasico. As soon as the big names go away, so do they, preferring to watch the European game or strictly follow the U.S. men's national team. They're the people who fill out beer gardens in cities across this country every World Cup but have no clue what the second division of soccer in the States is. It's the USL, by the way. Number one rule in life, folks, if you're a writer, you don't talk down to your audience. You never do that. It's a free bit of advice, all right? And by the way, who the F does care about the USL? You tell me, right? To say that you're like, oh my goodness, it's all about just makes you sound like a prat. Seriously, if you're an American basketball fan, would you sit there and take it from some guy who said, oh, you're not a real fan because you don't follow the ABA or D3 or D2 soccer, D2 basketball, or whatever the hell the second division is called these days. The sentiment has been echoed by MLS Commissioner Don Garber, who it pains me to give credence to. In a recent interview with Fox 5 New York with reporter Tina Servasio, the question was posed, I've spoken to a lot of different sports fans in the building, some who are fans of the elite European leagues, and they have said through, I find MLS hard to watch. What's your message to them? Garber responded with, there are followers of the game overseas that might never become MLS fans. Thankfully, their children and their friends who are connected to the great cities where we have clubs that are very relevant, that have star players that are entertaining. We're continuing to earn our stripes, if you will, for that sophisticated European soccer snob, as we like to call them. The most interesting word in the response was sophisticated. This is sports. It's not elite country club endeavors such as a golf or tennis. There should be nothing sophisticated or highbrow about a fan or supporter's experience. It's about drinking beer, being loud, and having fun. The idea that we need an intelligent level of football play in America to love a sport is beyond mind-numbing. I don't know where this guy's now going. He's making fun of you being an intelligent football fan, by the way. Will Zlatan help bring people to the stadium? Yes. Will Zlatan help TV ratings? Yes, absolutely. But the issues with Zlatan being in LA has nothing to do with Zlatan or LA at all. Here we go. The reason Americans and soccer aren't taken seriously as little to do with whether or not they understand the intricacies of tiki-taka football. It's more that we don't support the sport seriously. We to a certain extent lack the regional tribalism that makes following a football club worthwhile. We jump ship from club to club when a big name player arrives, like a giddy teeny bopper awaiting the next boy band to have a #1 single. When word came out that Ibrahimovic was going to LA, I saw more than a few people announce their allegiance to the Galaxy who have zero connection to Los Angeles or California. The same people who came out in crowds to nearly 70,000 to see Beckham play at Giant Stadium are now nowhere to be found as the New York Red Bulls struggle to fill their arena. It's a flash in the pan. Once the player is gone, so is the interest. Okay? That's true. It's up to now the team afterwards to maintain the interest. Why are you bagging on the actual fan? A fair weather nature of these supporters is on full display, and it's no secret. There was even a fan changing from a Galaxy jersey to an LAFC jersey in the middle of the match this weekend. Okay, glad you saw it. This doesn't mean there aren't good supporter groups in Major League Soccer, such as New York Red Bulls, Toronto FC, Montreal Impact, and San Jose Earthquakes. All boast legitimate ultras group that gain respect around the world. Well, okay. And Portland Timbers and Seattle Sounders, who have been known to have huge turnouts on a regular basis. But the average person with a slight interest in the sport in the States, or even the ones who love the Premier League but hate MLS, have a long way to go from fawning over big-ticket international players. That's not to say the Galaxy support is awful. I know a few of the guys, and they're all right. God, what a douche. What a douche. Like you're saying, oh my goodness, yeah, you're okay. You're not close to being a Timbers fan because Timbers fans support their club with 0 stars. That makes them better. Really? Well, how so? Just what? Because they go week in and week out and so what? Americans like stars. Americans like superstars, right? I mean, you might want to have to come to grips with this, as a writer, that, really, no one really watches the Milwaukee Bucks, right? But they'll watch any team that LeBron is on, right? It's just one of those things, let's go back to the Brewers, right? A pretty good team, right? But there's no really big stars on it. So, which is why the Yankees always buy the stars, right? Or that's at least the thing. Or the Mets try to buy the stars, or the Dodgers try, Again, you might not know this, but I don't really follow baseball or basketball. But that's the name of the game, right? In America, you essentially watch teams for the stars. That's a completely, ordinary sort of business decision that was made back in the late 70s with NFL, with the basketball league, with hockey. The United States, in Los Angeles in general, had no idea there was a hockey team in Los Angeles, an ice hockey team, until LA bought the biggest star of hockey in the universe, in the history of hockey, and brought him to LA. There was an outcry. He was a Canadian treasure. There was no way he would go to Los Angeles, but he came, right? Wayne Gretzky came, and suddenly there's a multi-billion-dollar industry of ice hockey here. And because of that, the Mighty Ducks showed up on the other side of town. all right? It takes one player like that. Americans, whether you like it or not, America, love stars. I'd rather personally watch stars on the LA Galaxy team than a bunch of nobodies. If some douchey writer is slagging you off for essentially being an American sports fan, and I've had my problems with American sports fans, I've been like, hey man, you need to be a soccer fan first, but that's another story. But if someone's slagging you off for liking superstars on your team, then you tell those douchebags, really, you know, which AAA team do you support? Tell me who they are. Tell me about them, you know. Tell me about the team, you know, that you support. Because I'm going to guarantee it's a bullshizzle, slagging off, snide remark from a writer like this, who probably is like, I don't know, doesn't support a team. I'm thinking he might be a you know, Cascadia guy because he's going towards that Portland Sounders thing, you know. Mentioned the Montreal thing. I don't know who, you know, Montreal, Toronto. He might be a little bit. He might, you know, might be a guy that's all right. But you know, yes, am I mad that there's guys out there and gals that watch the Premiership but won't watch Major League Soccer? Yeah. Do I begrudge them the pleasure of watching Premiership or La Liga and whatever, and saying, well, you know what, and I can't get into Major League Soccer? Absolutely not. At least you're watching football. And you know what? What have I been saying since day one of this dang show? I've been saying, you know what? If some guy's like that and you know someone, take him to a match. It's $25. I guarantee they're going to be a fan afterwards. All right? This kind of bullshizzle writing, it just irks me, gets me right over here in my craw and says, you know, you must be kind of new, right? Because there was a time in America where, you know, when I was a kid that I wanted to be a professional soccer player, there was no soccer at all. There was no reason. I couldn't think about being a professional soccer player. And I couldn't watch professional soccer live. That I had to sneak into pubs and watch videotapes of the old First Division. And I had to go into cantinas in Mexican neighborhoods and watch Chivas, right? So, to me, this is heaven that I can watch every soccer match. You know, I'm not going to be judged, or you shouldn't be judged as a fan because you watch all the other leagues in the world. LAFC is, he continues, which is essentially a reboot of Chivas USA. Again, you know, if this article was written a little bit differently, I'd say, well, okay, let me hear what you're going to say. But it's another snide remark, you know, another sort of sleazy remark, sloppy journalism. LAFC, which is essentially a reboot of Chivas USA. Well, how so? How is it a reboot? If you're a fan, you're a fanboy, which essentially someone's given a fanboy his own blog. You can write that and get away with it. But as a journalist, give me a reason. And playing their first year in the MLS, okay, I won't say anything. Had a supporter have his scarf snatched at an away match in Seattle, only to have his girlfriend ask for a public outcry to find and arrest a woman responsible for the action. This is what you've come up with? A fan incident to slag off LAFC? You know what? I loved Chivas USA. Man, you know why you know this? Because I would go to Chivas USA matches and watch. You know, it was something for me to do when LA Galaxy were out of town. If there was 3 teams in LA, I'd go to those matches too. And he writes, and I get it. America's a big country. We're not going to have the hyper-local support like England. We're being born a few miles apart means you go for Wigan Athletic over Manchester City, where the roots determine your future as a sports fan. And by the way, here's how I know this guy's a hack. You go to Bristol right now, there's no Bristol City fans. They're Man U fans. This is a world sport, right? So it's bullshit. But we also wouldn't co-sign someone jumping from team to team in the sports world. The people who say they like players over teams are the worst. By the way, that's such an American thing too. Why are you hating that? The people who went from being Cavs fans to Heat fans to Cavs fans until they lost to the Warriors, fans in the past 10 years are people that you should never bother to talk sports with. Really? Okay. If people want to start a real soccer culture in America, and by the way, getting advice about starting a soccer culture from this guy might be a bit rich. One that's taken seriously around the world. It starts with the people in the stands, not the players on the pitch. Football in Norway is shit. Football in Morocco is shit. Football in Bulgaria is shit. I don't think he's ever watched a game, or at least one. But all those countries get it and have supporters that aren't just waiting for the next big name signing in order to turn up at the match. No one in America, at least I hope not, would go from being an Eagles fan to a Browns fan because insert big name here got traded there. That's as lame as a legion of Dallas Cowboy fans around New York who clung to the team because they won a lot in the early 90s. Ibrahimovic, this guy's really irking me. His time in the MLS is going to be interesting. There's no telling on telling how long it will last. Again, another snided remark. Don't know how long it's going to last. Well, it's 2 years. So, oh, you're saying that he's going to be injured? Wow, way to put that out in the universe, douche. But it sure makes it share of headlines. Yeah, sure it makes it headlines. Like I said in the beginning of the show, every douchey, hacky writer in the world has something to write about now. And here's exhibit number one, this writer. Me and my friends who go to the match joke that we're happy that the LA game is away this year, so the stadium isn't full of tourists who gawk at us like zoo creatures for singing for 90 minutes. Because you're an awesome, awesome fan, buddy. I know by writing this, soccer editors from big sports sites are going to dismiss me on Twitter, although the last time they went to a MLS match was courtesy of the league, and they sat in the teams. No, we've dismissed you just with the headline. The takeaway, though, is that we don't need Ibrahimovic or Cristiano Ronaldo or Leo Messi to play in the U.S. to turn the country into a football nation. It takes going to the match, understanding what sport really means, and how it's more electric experience. Well, you got something right. It is a more electric experience than other big sports where the fans sit in docile fashion and consume their overpriced concession, or better yet, passionately follow a team from across the country from the comfort of their own living room. This is until the next big name comes around. You know, one of the guys responds, pretentious poser writes, clueless article on sport he demonstrates quite ably he knows next to nothing about. Nice Google searches, try living your story next time, putz. You know, pretty rambling article with some solid points which were poorly tied together. The problem isn't the fans, it's demographics and culture. The U.S. has the money, resources, and athletically gifted people to be good, but as a country, we simply value other sports. What bizarre timing for a sport. Not only did Atlanta United break the record league attendance multiple times, but they also broke the league's transfer record by signing an 18-year-old Argentinian Uber kid. Many believe the signing will take shape and transfer policy for other clubs moving forward. Why paint the entire MLS with a broad brush stroke that doesn't apply to much of the league? By all accounts, MLS is on the rise. Quality of play, ratings, fan improvement, extending aggressively in the South just doesn't fit your narrative. Go home. That's it. You know, I guess the fans don't like it when you slag them off. All right? So I guess after me doing this for about 14 years, the first rule that I set up was you don't slag off the fans. The fans kind of make the sport. You don't talk about them either. I've never sort of interviewed a fan or did this or whatever, but you just don't slag them off. They're the ones going and paying their money, and they're paying, and to say that they don't understand it because Ibrahimovic is in town is bullshizzle. Literally bullshizzle. Yeah. Fans will go and watch a player, and when he leaves, they might go. But that is essentially parcel of what happens in football everywhere around the world. All right? Manchester United fans have fans all around the world that travel to Old Trafford to watch them. All right? You don't have to be born next door to the stadium or a mile away from a certain hospital or a mile away from where a certain bell rings to be a fan. All right? Tottenham fans around America some of them have never been to now I guess Wembley, but to White Hart Lane. But because of a certain religious background, they're adhered to it and they go and watch it. All right, MLS fans, are probably some of the best fans in the world. All of them know what they're watching and know the options. They can go watch the Premiership, they can go watch La Liga, but they adamantly support their local club. All right? Simply put, articles like this are just snide ways to downplay essentially Major League Soccer. All right? Does nothing. And it's completely wrong. All right? American culture, what I've learned, is about superstars. All right? Go back to NBC when they were showing, the rivalry between the LA Lakers and the Celtics, Magic versus Bird, all right? When Bird was playing another team, they would play that at the first game of the weekend, and the second game was the LA Lakers playing. And when they played together, it was ratings magic. Pardon the pun. All right? So it is about the stars. Again, nobody watched the Milwaukee Bucks. All right? It took stars to go to Detroit Pistons. It took stars, a huge star, to go to the Chicago Bulls. And then when he left, nobody wanted to watch Horace Grant. We know this, right? Right? But there's still the rabid fan base was still there. All right? It's all about the stars. If you haven't figured me out, it's all about the stars. It's the reason why you get interviews with the biggest stars to come on your podcast or your show or whatever. You know, like I said on the Kevin Kincaid show, and I want you to listen to that, Zlatan Ibrahimovic has made the job of a hack writer so much easier for the next 2 years. This douche essentially is saying, well, you know, we don't know how long he's going to be. So he's sort of foretelling that, well, maybe he's so old he's going to get injured. But for his sake and his hack writing, I hope he's here for the full 2 years because he's going to have something to write about every week. With that said, email me at simonallensoccer@yahoo.com. I've been doing this for 14 years, this show, and without you, the listener, I've never called you guys fans because I don't want fans. I want listeners. I want friends. You've become my friends. You've become listeners. You've become my conscience sometimes. You've been like, oh, you know, you're going wrong, Simon. Do this, do this. So I appreciate you. And without you, you know, I'll be simply talking to thin air. Thank you very much for being my listener. And thank you for being a fan of football. You know, keep that alive in your heart forever. I've been saying for many years, go support your local team, whether that's the Des Moines Menace or the LA Galaxy or the New York Red Bull or the Rochester Rhinos, or whether it's a MPSL team or even, you know, a futsal team, or whether it's even a, you know, MASL team, all right? Do that, all right? Don't worry about what other people say. Be a fan of whatever club you want, whether it's Liverpool or whether it's, you know, Temecula FC, right? My favorite club in the MPSL. I want to thank Harry and Alexi, and I want to make sure that you go to the FoodBall Network on YouTube. Check out the next show. It's going to come up. We're taping in Burbank at Gitano's at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Peace. Let's play some music. Bye-bye.
Causing all the devastation when we step into the place, and better believe that you can see we're gonna rock and never stop, and here we go again. Hit you with the flow again. Hook it up the second time around, we'll bring it on again. Shout it out. Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got blood on your face, you big disgrace, kicking your cat all over the place, singing. We will rock you. Ha ha. We will rock you. Come on. How about a little something, get you in the middle? What I mean, watch your back. We got Queen on this track. Bring the feedback and let it drop. As long as 5, bring the funk, Queen, bring the rock, and it don't stop. Buddy, you're a young man, hard man, standing in the street, gonna take on the world someday. You got blood on your face, you big disgrace, waving your banner all over the place, singing. We will rock. We're gonna rock, come on. We will rock. We're gonna rock, yeah. We will rock. We're gonna rock you, baby. We will rock you. Ha ha.